there are no words to describe how emotional that main event tonight was. There's no words that could describe how emotional the Intercontinental title match was. As the main event from last night. Excuse me. It was said that SummerSlam was going to be a weekend that would change the landscape of professional wrestling forever as we know it. This weekend truly did just that. We kick off the results of SummerSlam with Night 1, which kicked off with the Women's World Title as Liv Morgan defended against Io Sky, who, ironically enough, defeated Liv Morgan to win the Queen of the Ring earlier this year. This was basically Io's redemption story, if you will, where it had been well over a year since Io Sky was world champion in WWE. From the moment she lost the women's world title via a Money in the Bank cash-in thanks to Naomi last year, for the most part, Io Sky had been in a tag team alongside Rhea Ripley, to which they went on to become women's tag team champions, which only lasted a few months. Obviously, we know that Rhea Ripley went on to win the Elimination Chamber back in late February, early March, to where she would go on to defeat Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. Now she is injured, but we'll talk about that later on in this video. And from WrestleMania up until now, Io Sky just really hasn't been the same. A lot truly changed for Io Sky. Not only did she have to defeat one of her mentors and one of her idols, if you will, in Asuka, but she went on to again win Queen of the Ring by defeating the champion Liv Morgan. And last night she had the chance to redeem herself, but the question is, did it pay off? Unfortunately, the answer was no, because thanks in part to Roxanne Perez and the new women's Intercontinental Champion Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan was able to once again defeat Io Sky and retain the women's world title. What I find so interesting is that Io Sky had been champion for literally 100 days, now 101 days, and last night was her very first title defense. Think about that. She had to rely on the Judgment Day to defeat Io Sky. How wild is that? How wild is that? Honestly, it's unheard of. But I think this proves that in my mind, and I think in the minds of the entire WWE universe, Liv Morgan is afraid to defend her title by herself. Which is crazy. Which is insane. But from there we move to a 6-man tag which featured the Bloodlines, Usos, and Jacob Fatu against the team of Royce Keys, Solo Sikoa, and L.A. Knight. And can I just say, for the record, Solo Sikoa having a yeet party with the WWE Universe, pissing off Jey Uso, definitely was mind-blowing. Very mind-blowing, but very funny. Did it pay off? Absolutely. Why? Simple. The final moments of the match, it was pure chaos all over, inside the ring, outside the ring, bodies being thrown everywhere. And LA Knight pinned Jey Uso with the BFT after a failed attempt at the 1D, thanks in part to Solo. And LA Knight's team picked up a massive dub over the bloodline, and we saw something that we never thought we would ever see. Solo Sikoa and LA Knight embracing. Who would have ever thought? Next up, we have a match that, honestly, nobody expected it. The Ring General Gunther and the National Treasure himself, the GM of SmackDown, Nick Aldis. Man, it was so wild to see Nick Aldis back in the ring, because I was a huge fan of Magnus back in TNA when he was a part of groups like the British Invasion, and of course, one of my favorites from TNA, the Main Event Mafia. The second iteration, of course, but who's counting? One thing that I've learned from watching Nick Aldis during those days is that he was always perseverant. He always overcame the odds, no matter what was standing in his way. Last night was his first match in 3 years, so we knew that the ring rust was going to come into play, and Nick Aldis put up a fight. Gunther was not expecting it whatsoever, but it did not matter to the Ring General, as he made Nick Aldis tap out to a sleeper to win the match, proving and Nick Aldis proved that even though he lost, he still got it. And we also found out later that night on the post show, he handed him in his letter of resignation as GM of SmackDown, but Triple H was like, nope. You're gonna continue, and you're gonna do the right thing and call shit down the middle, plain and simple. But that would be his test earlier today on night 2, which we will get to in a bit. Next up, a 6-woman tag, which ultimately became a sleeper. Funny enough, as Fatal Influence went up against Paige and the Hall of Famers Nikki and Brie Bella. Again, this was such a sleeper. This would have been better off on SmackDown or on Saturday night's main event, but it is what it is. And I feel like, in my opinion, the tag team championship, whether it's the WWE tag titles or the World tag titles, should have been on the card. My opinion, that's what it should have been. But it is what it is. Fatal Influence picking up a victory after JC Jane hit Paige with the Rolling Encore to win the matchup. But then the Bellas, typical Brie and Nikki Bella doing typical Nikki and Brie Bella things as they attacked Paige from behind, turning heel, which was pretty expected. I mean, this all had to do with the fact that Paige hogged the spotlight from Nikki Bella, even though Nikki was injured at that time, literally at WrestleMania, mind you. So I'm sure the Bellas will explain as time progresses. Next up is the WWE title. We thought that this was going to be the main event, but it did not. But it became an instant classic. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, man, what a battle! What a battle! They emptied out the tank like it was nothing. Crossroads, a moonsault by CM Punk, which was absolutely mind-boggling. Which proves why CM Punk truly is the best in the world. They literally emptied out their bag, if you will, their bag of tricks. We saw figure fours, we saw elbow drops, we saw Crossroads, Cody cutters, GTS, the Anaconda Vice, which we rarely get to see out of Punk. And then we saw the return of Randy Orton. Who would have ever thought? Because the last time we saw Randy, it was at WrestleMania. That was the last time we saw him, and he hit Cody with an RKO, which proves one of two things. Either A, Randy has now become a babyface again, and Cody's going to turn heel soon, or Cody will remain a babyface and Randy Orton will remain the heel. We will have to wait and see over time, but CM Punk, GTS, to Cody Rhodes after the RKO, and CM Punk walks away still WWE champion. That brings us to the main event of night one. Probably one of the most intense Hell in a Cell matches that we had ever seen, ever. Brock Lesnar, Obafemi, round 3. Round 1, in a matter of speaking, was the Royal Rumble. But the real battle was at WrestleMania. Round 2, Clash in Italy. Round 3, last night. Excuse me. Absolutely wild. Everything was thrown at each other. Steel chairs, steel steps, tables. It was insane. Brock Lesnar even exposed the ring, literally tore the mat out, exposed the wooden boards, and hit Obafemi with a tombstone, paying homage to the Hall of Famer, The Undertaker, and Obafemi kicked out and hit Brock Lesnar with a fall from grace powerbomb and won. Literally, the tombstone pile driver woke up Obafemi and he won. And Brock Lesnar picked up, literally grabbed the microphone, embraced Obafemi, and said, "This is the future. I am the past. This is the future." Which asks the question if Brock Lesnar is retired. Honestly, well, we will have to wait and see over time. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Only time will tell, but congratulations to Obafemi on an incredible debut inside Hell in a Cell. That moves on to night 2. And it kicked off with originally supposed to have been Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn. Nick Aldis comes out and says, "We're going to make this a triple threat." Gunther shows up. Aldis was like, "Wait a minute. Did I say triple threat? Sorry guys, I meant a fatal 4-way." And we heard the guitar riffs, and out came Kevin Owens. Man, we all thought that fool was gonna retire. But unfortunately, it was all exaggerated as Kevin Owens overcame the odds of the Fatal 4-Way and pinned Sami Zayn to become the number 1 contender to the WWE title. However, it is going to be against CM Punk, so we'll see how that turns out. Next up, the United States title, Baron Corbin versus Trick Williams with the return of Lil Yachty. I mean, to be fair, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Trick brought it upon himself to bring the table into the match, and the final moments ultimately backfired because in the final moments, Lil Yachty got put through the table because of Trick, which was indeed accidental. And Baron Corbin hit Trick with the U.S. title and with the end of days to become a now 2-time United States champion. I think it's pretty safe to say that Baron Corbin, he's staying for the long haul moving forward. So congratulations to Baron Corbin. Next up is the Fatal 5-Way for the Women's Interim Championship because of the fact that Rhea Ripley got hurt at Clash in Italy at the hands of Jade Cargill, which, ironically enough, Jade Cargill was one of the 5 participants in that match. The remaining 4 were Chelsea Green, Lash Legend, Charlotte Flair, and the women's U.S. title, not U.S. title, the women's U.S. champion, the hometown girl, if you will, Tiffany Stratton. Jade and Charlotte beating the hell out of each other at the top of the bell. Chaos. We all know. When it comes to ladder matches, it is always going to be pure chaos. Everybody scaling the ladder, trying to go after the title. We saw beef had been Meechin attempt to cost Chelsea Green the title. But in the final moments, Jade Cargill pushes Lash and Tiffany off of one ladder, while Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill got pushed off another ladder because of Jade Cargill. Everybody was down, and then Chelsea Green comes up and is the new women's interim champion, which is insane, which was absolutely crazy. And it's funny because I was scrolling through social media. I was scrolling through social media, and apparently people are saying that Rhea Ripley should have been stripped of the title, making Chelsea Green the new women's champion altogether. But I don't know why they did that. Some people believe that it has to do with Rhea Ripley coming back in the next couple weeks. Some people believe it has to do with the Money in the Bank coming up. Who knows? But congratulations to Chelsea Green. Now both her and Tiffany have a championship. Next up, Human Money's on a poll. Danhausen, Dirty Dom. I mean, let's be real. We knew that JD McDonough was going to get involved. We knew that the mini houses were going to get involved. To be fair, we didn't expect Joe Hendry to show up, but he did. And it was because of Joe Hendry that Danhausen was able to secure the bag of Human Monies and gave the Human Monies to members of the WWE Universe, including Michael Cole, Wade Barrett, the Spanish commentary team. Not only did it feature the Human Monies that they can purchase on WWE Shop, but it also featured actual money, cash money in the bag, which was very funny. But congratulations to Danhausen, and maybe Dirty Dom and JD will move on from the bullshit that is Danhausen. Next up, the Intercontinental title. Penta, Chad Gable. Man, we knew that this was going to be very emotional for Chad Gable, and we knew that Chad Gable was going to stop at nothing to win that title, and it was back and forth. We saw everything in the playbook of both Penta and Chad Gable. We saw German suplexes, moonsaults. We saw the Penta driver. We saw we saw a Mexican destroyer. We saw Penta hit Chad Gable with the sacrifice, which caused Chad Gable to become El Grande Americano in the first place, and it all came down to that last chess move, to which Chad Gable applied the ankle lock, and as soon as Penta attempted to force the break, Chad Gable pulls away from the rope, grapevines the leg, and Penta taps out. And for the first time ever, finally, Chad Gable is a singles champion in WWE in the form of the Intercontinental title. Congrats to Chad Gable. He definitely deserved it. That brings us to the main event. All I have to say is this was one of the most emotional, but one of the most anticipated matches, not just in WWE, but in all of professional wrestling. Two guys, two brothers, who were once a part of a faction known as the Shield, and they dominated for years. The night after Payback in 2014, after the Shield defeated Evolution, we saw Batista quit WWE. And Triple H said, there's always a plan B. Seth Rollins, with the chair shot heard around the world, hitting not only Roman Reigns, but Dean Ambrose. This forced all three men to go to their own path. Seth would go on to win Money in the Bank, multiple of them, and win multiple championships. Dean Ambrose, he was doing his own thing because, well, it's Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose doing Dean Ambrose things. And then, of course, the OTC. Man, what a career, what a legacy Roman Reigns has had since that chair shot, man. And it culminated tonight at SummerSlam with that main event over the World Heavyweight title. We knew that both men had to pin the other. One had to pin the other, and it was all over the place. The referee had so much leniency that it literally became essentially a mini street fight. And it was absolute chaos. Rollins power bombs Reigns through one announce table. Reigns does that to Rollins on the other table, and it was truly an instant classic. We saw stomps, spears, pedigrees, Superman punches. We even saw an ode to Dean Ambrose with the wacky lariat and dirty deeds, the double arm DDT that gave Dean Ambrose multiple championships in WWE and even outside of WWE. And in the final moments, it took not one, not two, but three spears for Roman Reigns to finally pin Seth Rollins to not only retain the world title, but to finally put the final nail in the chapter in the story of the Shield. And in the final moments of the show itself, we saw both men on opposite sides of the ring, sitting there, contemplating everything that happened. And we saw the Shield fist bump, proving that even though the hatred is there, one thing is for certain: when it comes to families, brothers will always fight, but in the end, brothers will stand by one another always. So congratulations to both men on an incredible matchup, and congratulations to Roman Reigns on retaining the title. And now the question is, what's next for Seth Rollins, and who's next for the OTC? And with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Excuse me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more premium live event predictions and results in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, be sure to follow me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.